Well, joining me now is Rioch Edwards Brown. She was previously accused and later cleared of shaken baby syndrome. She now campaigns on the issue. Rioch, thanks for your time this evening. I'm assuming you're hugely relieved to see this kind of research being done, are you?
Yes, I mean, I'm really happy to see finally that we're getting the science back rather than at present the conjecture and hearsay that dominates shaken baby syndrome.
You talk about science, but of course there'll be people watching this saying it's one body of evidence in one part of the world using a crash test dummy. It proves very little.
But you can also come back with a counter-argument and say, well, nobody's actually ever tested a laboratory situation where you've shaken a live child to see exactly what happens. So at the end of the day, science has to keep moving forward, and you've got to include newer findings if we're to find a way forward.
Do you think this kind of work will be taken seriously in British courts?
Well, it has to, because if you look at the present situation and you look at the history of shaken baby syndrome, it was first identified in the 70s. A mentally ill American woman confessed to shaking babies in her care. A noted neurosurgeon wrote up about this case, but he did describe the evidence as being meagre and circumstantial. But by that time, his theory had been taken hold of by child protection agencies across the English-speaking world. And where we have it today is that that theory was later endorsed by the Department of Health. So we do need newer information to come to light to give us a better way forward as to how we diagnose abuse or accident.
Just to remind us about your case, because you were accused, later cleared, and now you campaign on behalf of people in a group called the 5%ers. Just talk us through that now.
Well, that's right. I mean, I had a baby boy. We left hospital, unbeknown to us. He'd suffered a brain bleed that hadn't been detected. He subsequently collapsed with a fit when he was 6 months old. Both my husband and I were actually accused of shaking him. Now, medical notes, which weren't considered at the time, showed quite clearly that in fact it was birth trauma. And this is what we're saying, seeing time and time again. And one of the reasons why I started the campaign was to get greater clarity and a standard for doctors to work towards, because they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. And basically what I think doctors need are standards such as a protocol. We've called it Riordan's Law, which will allow them to determine the difference between abuse and accident. It will see babies and children, alive or dead, coming into A&E and being seen by paediatric specialists within the first 24 hours, and then reviewed up to 14 days later to get a clearer medical picture. Without this standard, that's why I'll be sitting here again in another few months' time. You'll have another Karen Henderson case. You've seen Sally Clark. It will continue.
You make it sound so clear and definitive when you spell it out like that, but isn't this the whole problem? You can't have a protocol because one paediatric expert is not going to see the same as another.
Well, the whole point as to why we actually do need the protocol is the very reason that you do have this disparity. You do have these doctors, arguing to and fro. If you had a standard such as Riordan's Law, what it will allow the doctors is more time to actually see and assess just what's going on. It seems to me that on numbers of cases that we've had, we've got over 470 shaken baby cases. Time and time again, assessments are being made on these babies, alive or dead, by people that are not paediatric specialists. I mean, in my son's case, he was assessed by a senior house officer as having been shaken. He should have been seen by a paediatric neurosurgeon. So we need that standard. It brings the doctors together. They work up these babies in a particular way. They have up to 14 days to do that, and they will come out with a clearer medical picture as to abuse or non-abuse.
OK, Rioch Edwards Brown, very good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.